A game that has moved up to one of my most anticipated games of the future is Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2. Guys, the Warhammer franchise is a special one, and with Space Marine, I definitely was interested when this game first got announced. I saw the initial trailer or announcement trailer, and I was blown away. It looked kind of reminded me a little bit of StarCraft, a little bit of Gears of War, and so it kind of had a lot of those things built into one. And so I have been incredibly excited since then. Well, we're getting more and more information. I want to talk about everything that we know now about this title, about the upcoming beta, things of that nature, and I would love to hear your guys' thoughts about it in the comment section down below. Let's talk about it. So guys, in an article coming to us from Ross McInley of PC Games, Focus Interactive shocks fans by announcing a Space Marine 2 beta, meaning you may be able to play the next Warhammer 40K game a little bit early. With Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2 making quite the impact with its appearance at Gamescom 2023, publisher Focus Interactive has kept the hype train rolling with their August 30 extended gameplay showcase, giving fans a good look at Saber Interactive's entrance into the world of Warhammer 40K games. As expected, Focus Interactive showed off more than just gameplay, revealing that a Space Marine 2 beta is on the horizon. That being said, it feels like every day we're learning more about this game. During the extended gameplay stream, we got to see Titus in his full glory using Saber Interactive's newly developed range melee hybrid combat system. While at times the combat looked a little stiff, the gameplay has me on the edge of my seat. We even got to see a plasma pistol in action, and boy, does it look nasty. And I gotta tell you guys, the gameplay looks absolutely incredible. From a graphical fidelity of this game, looks spectacular. The gameplay looks awesome. Obviously Saber Interactive, these guys making World War Z, they made it so that you could have like so many zombies on screen. I think it was like 1,000 zombies on screen at one time with different interactions and things of that nature. You can see that without a question of a doubt here in Space Marine 2. All of the different, aliens and things of that nature that are coming at you, it looks spectacular and it looks fascinating. Reminds me a lot of World War Z as well. But then, of course, with like the chainsaw sword and all of that, it reminds me a lot of a Space Marine from a Terran soldier in StarCraft, or one of the cogs in Gears of War. It just looks absolutely incredible. Now, this article, guys, is coming to us from Fran Ruiz of space.com. Games Workshop's Warhammer 40K is the most popular miniature war game in the world, and its gothic science fiction setting is greatly responsible for that. Unsurprisingly, it's also nurtured tons of video games over the decades, including the recent Doom-inspired shooter Bolt Gun, one of the most famous ones in 2011 Space Marine, and more than a decade later, we're finally getting a big blockbuster sequel. And so, in the distant future of Warhammer 40K, a dogmatic human civilization is under siege from all sides, fighting off armies of hostile aliens and terrible supernatural forces. It's grand and gritty in equal measure, and despite the many franchises it's influenced over the years, there's nothing quite like it. Space Marine put players inside the armor of Captain Titus, a member of the legendary Ultramarines, and he and his men fight against the orcs and chaos forces. Titus is back for the sequel, but the hideous insectoid Tyranids are the main antagonists this time around. So the game is obviously, guys, slated to release in winter of 2023 with no specific month mentioned so far. This suggests it could easily slip into 2024 if the developer at Saber Interactive decide the game needs more time in the oven, which I think at this point, guys, I think there's a good chance that it may actually be coming out. If it's not coming out like around Christmas of this year, it's probably going to come out some point in maybe Q1 or Q2 of 2024. Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2 is a current gen exclusive which takes full advantage of the latest consoles and PC hardware's horsepower. It will be released for PS5, Xbox Series X, and PC via Steam. The game has been built with Saber Interactive's proprietary engine, which definitively wowed gamers with the humongous hordes of enemies in the World War Z game that released a few years ago. That tech and experience will have been extremely valuable for Space Marine 2's development because they're ideal for bringing the large Tyranid armies to life effectively. So guys, obviously what they did with World War Z is was spectacular. And I'm always been wondering if they're going to make a sequel to World War Z. That's a conversation for another day. But what they were able to do there was really special. And you can see a lot of that rubbing off now into Space Marine 2 and the Warhammer universe. And I think Saber Interactive, they've got a really great opportunity here to really take Warhammer to the next level. And that's what it looks like they're really trying to do here. After saving the day in the original game, Captain Titus was turned into the Inquisition by a suspicious battle brother. While he has been reinstated at the start of Space Marine 2, he's also been demoted to lieutenant. Captain Titus was originally voiced by famous actor Mark Strong, but the stoic character has been recast and is now portrayed by Vikings veteran Clive Standen. This story takes place during the Fourth Tyranid War and seemingly across 2 planets. It also appears that Titus has crossed the Rubicon Primaris, a dangerous surgery which upgrades and enhances the already augmented Space Marines. Titus will now be faster, tougher, and smarter. Super excited about that. Much like its predecessor, Space Marine 2 is a third-person action game with heavy emphasis on shooting apart while also smacking and cutting them to pieces with devastating melee combat. The Gears of War games are pretty obvious and big influences, but not the only ones. There's also a strong focus on working as a unit of soldiers instead of going solo in spite of the chaotic nature of the game's action, as the entire campaign can be played in either single player or alongside 2 other players. Nothing has been said about extra modes or a potential competitive multiplayer portion yet. Now, what I will say about that, guys, is this. Yes, I'm very excited that you're able to play this as a single player story, or you can play it co-op. And I think that's great because it's going to bring you back to the experience over and over again. You play the game by yourself once, then maybe you want to play with your friends in a co-op perspective. Absolutely awesome. But multiplayer is going to bring you back even more so to the experience over and over again. This game looks like it is built for multiplayer. Whether you're one of the Tyranids or you're one of the Space Marines and you clash in a competitive setting, that would be something really special. It would remind me a lot of like Gears of War. It could be really awesome from a competitive perspective, just from what we've seen so far of the gameplay. Time will tell when we start, get our hands on the game and things of that nature. That's going to tell us a lot more of whether this is going to be a good multiplayer experience. But at least early on, guys, it looks like it absolutely would be. Fans of Warhammer 40K can expect to see familiar weapons, vehicles, and enemies from both the Space Marine and Tyranid ranges, including many of the new models that arrived with the launch of the 10th edition 40K. So, obviously, guys, I love that they're going to be sticking with a lot of familiarity when it comes to weapons, but I'd also like to have some differences too. I'd like to have some new weapons, some new armor, which it seems like we're definitely going to be getting that here in Space Marine 2. I'd also like to see some variety in terms of enemies as well. I think that's something that looks like it could very well be something that's shaping up. I just want to be able to be, when we're fighting these enemies, I want it to, be different. I don't want to feel repetitive, right? Especially when you're fighting against thousands upon thousands of them. Same thing goes with like customization ordeals, like, being able to upgrade your armor, your weapons, and things of that nature. That would be something really, really cool as well. But guys, this game is gearing up to be something very special for not only right here, right now, but for the future. And I can't wait to continue creating content around this game. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. And for more Warhammer 40K, Space Marine 2 content and videos, keep it here with zrotv.